The emphasis on the words little. Look, all of those are possible. I have not painted for you a totally dark, negative picture with an Obama administration. I just don't know. I'm just telling you that, with not reading tea leaves, just explaining what in fact are his priorities, what generally happens. Is he left through and through, left as in left-right, or is he not? If he's left through and through, Israel will have problems for the next 4 years at the very least. If he is not, then there might be this exception. The issue about what's good for Israel is a very interesting one. The left always says that what they're doing is good for Israel. Israel doesn't know what's good for itself. We on the left know what's good for Israel. There's one thing about the left, they just know what's better for everybody. They do. I mean, it's just a fact. After all, if you get your values from your heart, then you have to know better, because your heart, you know how pure it is. And so, therefore, they know that forcing Israel into peace is good for Israel, because the Israelis, like their parents, are idiots. Don't trust anyone over 30, don't trust any Israeli leader. It's just, we know better. Israelis don't know. Israelis live with this, but they don't know better. Even the moderate left in Israel doesn't know better than we know. We're told, for example, this is the best, we're told all the time that it was bad for Israel that America deposed Saddam Hussein. This is the Jewish left and the non-Jewish left. It is a mantra that the Iraq war was bad for Israel because it strengthened Iran. And the only bulwark against Iran was Iraq. We got rid of the Iraqi nemesis for Iran. Therefore, Israel has suffered because Iran is stronger. And on the face, it sounds terrific. So I asked the last Israeli ambassador. I'm very bad at names. It's a genetic block. Who was the last one? No, that's not Zimmerman.
Gillerman.
Huh?
Gillerman.
Gillerman.
UN.
Yes, the UN. Did I say UN or is it UN? Yeah, UN. Dan Gillerman. Terrific guy. By sheer coincidence, we were both speakers at the United Jewish Community's Young Leadership Conference in Phoenix this past summer. And so I went to his room to speak to him and asked him if I could put it on a recording. And so this is all recorded, so you don't have to take my word for it. So my first question was, and by the way, the beauty was he had just stopped being the UN ambassador that morning. So he was now free as an independent Israeli citizen to speak his mind. He had no longer had any title, all right? By sheer coincidence, I was with him the day he ceased being the UN ambassador. And I said, ambassador or former ambassador, what do you make of this argument that Israel was weakened in its security because of the deposition, the American entry into Iraq and deposing Saddam? And I should memorize the words, but they were essentially, you have to be kidding. Who would argue that? A man who wanted Israel extinct, one of the most powerful Arab countries in the world, headed by a man who gave $25,000 to every Palestinian family that blew up a Jew, and you think we're weaker after he's, not you, one thinks that only the left can make up such a scenario, and they believe it. They believe this. And so, hey, Israel, we're gonna force a peace down your throat for your good, because we know better than you. We're American liberals. We're the smartest people who ever lived. We know better than Israelis what's good for them. And that's what they believe. It's not, I'm not making this up. They truly believe this. You don't know hubris till you go on the left. You don't know it. We know better than our ancestors. We know better than our religion. We know better than our parents. We know better for Israel what is good than Israelis do. And so this is, this is it. Well, listen, hey, I'm the liberal head of Columbia University, and I know that it's a good thing to bring Ahmadinejad to Columbia so that we can air different views. So all he did was give a Holocaust denier the imprimatur of a Columbia lecture. But he was so so deeply impressed with his own powers, he knew that if he attacked Ahmadinejad, this would reverberate throughout the world. But it didn't. What Iranians saw was major American university gives its attention to our leader. That's all they know. And other people heard over and over and over, look, is this not a university? Don't you question everything? Don't you need more information before you come to conclusions about any subject, even in the sciences? Why not about the so-called Holocaust? But it doesn't matter. President Bollinger, is that his name? Was convinced that his standing up there and saying what a buffoon the man is, this will reverberate throughout the world. But it didn't. And the only time he was booed was when he said something stupid about gays, that there were no gays in Iran. The only time a Colombian audience booed him. By the way, you will never see a conservative speaker at Columbia. Ahmadinejad gets an invitation. But Bill Bennett doesn't get an invitation. It doesn't exist. Or Medved, or he was mentioned, or myself, or Hugh Hewitt, another one of my colleagues. We don't get invitations to Columbia. That's my alma mater, ironically. That's where I went to graduate school. It doesn't matter. So that's why, I don't know. But Iran, see, here's the question on Iran. Is Ahmadinejad what Eric Hoffer called a true believer or not? If he's a true believer, this is very dangerous, very dangerous. See, as I have pointed out, the Nazis had only one thing going for them. They liked life. So Nazis, and of course communists, they liked the good life. They tortured and murdered in tens of millions, but they themselves wanted to live. With the jihadist mentality, they don't like life. The motto of Hamas is, we love death as much as the Jews love life. And they ain't fooling. So I don't know, does Ahmadinejad have a religious vision that, so what if they blow me up and 10 million Iranians? Just as Hitler didn't care if Germans were blown up at the end, they deserved it. In fact, as they failed him, so too, he could say, so what? So 10 million Iranians, but 10 million Jews, and the world is essentially Judenreich. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how much he treasures his own life. But, well, you know that you know. So if that's your view, then we're of tourists. And that's when we will need an American administration that gives Israel the latest technology in anti-ballistic missiles. By the way, is another good example. The left is against anti-ballistic missiles. The left calls it Star Wars. Right? They gave that the name. They ridicule the idea that you can shoot down missiles that come to attack. They ridicule it. They don't want us to do it. They feel we're in violation of treaties. If Israel does not have anti-ballistic missiles, I don't know how it can survive an attack from Iran, because remember, MAD, mutually assured destruction, works only with the same. It's an irony. MAD works with the same. MAD does not work with the non-same. So telling Ahmadinejad, hey, dummy, you destroy Israel, they'll destroy you. It's fine with me, I like that. So what Israel needs is anti-ballistic missiles. But the left is against manufacturing them. But, what was it, 78% of the Jews vote left? As I said to the Jews of Florida when I spoke to them in 2004 and 2008, in different shuls around Florida, I said, listen folks, especially for those of you who are old enough to recall, this is going to come as a real shock, but Franklin Roosevelt died. You can't vote for him for a 12th term. And this is part of the mentality of the older Jewish liberals, that they're still voting for FDR, which in and of itself is one of the puzzles I'm born after the war. But so maybe if I lived then, I would have a better answer. I don't understand. Someone will have to explain to me the Jewish adulation of Franklin D. Roosevelt, who did focus with regard to the Holocaust. Jews are angry at Pius XII. I would argue Pius XII did more than FDR for Jews in the Holocaust. It's like the world doesn't make sense very often. And that we Jews don't question our own thinking on these matters, it's very troubling.